myself, Eddie the Chump, finally back on the channel. Say what's up, Eddie.
What's up, everybody? Sorry, I'm just going to transition to our cams right now. Hey, hey, everybody. Look who it is. There we are.
Sounds good. So the way this stream's going to work essentially is we're going to attempt to do a pro analysis live stream as the game's going on, which sounds impossible to do, and it is actually, but we're going to do our best. I, of course, have been following the league religiously in depth for videos and just enjoying it myself. Eddie is a bit more of a layman now, not as much of an expert, so he's going to play the sort of everyman role and foil off me and tell me when I'm not making any sense and slow me down so that we can try to explain things as they're going on. I plan to cover what the meta is for pro players right now, how they break down what comps they use, why they use them, and how they're using their different players, and how we can learn what to utilize for our own games as well. But we will be looking to the chat to know whatever things you're interested in finding out as well. So feel free to leave a ping. I don't know if we have super chat set up or not. I didn't check that, unfortunately, but we'll be trying to watch the chat. So if you have direct questions about things you want us to break down, we can do that. Of course, Philly was the team that went second in the previous tournament, the Summer Showdown, and have shown in the last few weeks a lot of cool looks. Like they play every type of comp that you can see in the meta. So I think we have a real treat for us. This stream, of course, is sponsored by Blizzard directly, and we thank them for being able to provide us with the resources to set this up for you. And if everything goes swimmingly, we may be able to do this again as well. And if you want to see that happen, I want all of you to go in the link in the description and subscribe to the Overwatch League. I don't know what happens if you're already subscribed, but click the link in either way in the description. It lets them know that we're all ready and excited to do this, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again. So I'm just going to check some messages that I had and hand over to Ed for the moment.
Okay, what's up, everybody? I'm really happy to be back today. Thank you again to Blizzard for letting us do this. Again, just to echo what Frito has said, if you do like this kind of thing, today is a bit of a test run. So what we're going to be doing is, Frito is obviously going to be doing most of the calling of what's going on, and I'm going to try and ask relevant questions that maybe you guys have a relevant question about why a certain comp works in a certain place, hero interactions, all that kind of stuff. So I'll be paying attention to the chat. So if there's anything that you want me to ask Frito, leave it for me, okay? And I will be checking the chat, and I'll try and jump in like Frito's lovely assistant for the evening. So there we go.
Producer. I think producer's the
producer.
Cool
That's definitely better. Yeah, definitely.
Hold that up, Jamie. So what I'm getting word now, Ed. I don't know if this is easy for you to do, but what we can use is just the live link, because the feed link we have isn't working properly. Of course, technical difficulties tend to always happen with these types of things, where if we use the live link, we can more easily rewind. So I don't know if that's what you want to do, Ed, and you're able to quickly switch over to that.
Now that we're live, that might be a bit troublesome, but yeah, I will. If you can leave it for me in our chat, then I will try and do that.
Okay. Well, for the moment, anyway. Unfortunately, we can't pause the action, so we're gonna have to attempt to analyze live, if that's a word. I just made it up if it's not. Let's copy that link over there, head that over to Ed. So I've been talking a lot on Twitter and on different shows and stuff with friends, and I'm interested to see Ed's take on this as well. But I'm a huge fan of this meta, actually, and a lot of people don't like it, okay? I know there's a lot of reasons for it to be obnoxious, but especially when you see the way a team like the Fusion play it, you can notice that there's a lot of comps that you can play. And they've gotten rushed to work. They've, in fact, up against the LA Gladiators 2 weeks ago, they went to map 5. But I think at that point, they were still learning how this meta operated, and were trying some comps that are a little bit questionable. They attempted to play Dive with Batiste and Brig, and well, I don't think Bap's a very synergistic character with those picks. So because of that, they went down to 0-0 against Gladiators right away, and then they said, well, forget everything we practiced, let's just put in Funny Astro on Lucio, and then they played this like rushy brawly style and swung it back 3 maps in a row. So I have a feeling that with the right preparation and with them being a little bit more comfortable on this patch, we might see them start to flex those different comps that they know how to play. And with any luck, will give us a lot to break down on our stream as well, of how they're able to utilize the different characters that are really good. So the way that I would describe that is there's pretty much like two versions of the spam comp, whether it's like in a close range environment. Control Center is a good example for the Junkrat Symmetra look that they have ran. Otherwise, like Genji Ash with that instead, if the map's a little bit more high ground, or a third variation, which would be Dive right now with Winston and Zarya to bubble his engages. And I can get more into depth into why I love that comp as well. Its short answer is when you bubble a Winston, he actually can survive up against a lot of the big burst damage combos and abilities that are in the game. And that allows him to make space on the front line, whereas you might think he just explodes normally, right? It's kind of interesting with all the changes that Overwatch has had. Winston got like the weakest buffs, like his bubble's a bit better than it used to be, but it's not like he has new abilities or anything like that. But he's a great character to put resources into. So because of that, when you bubble him, he can go up against Sigma Rock and Brigida's Stun and Flail, which normally would hard counter him, but is able to get farm, get up to Primal Rage, and then he can manipulate the team fight and really put some work in. And I think Philly can run all those looks. On top of that, the Gladiators are a very experimental team as well, where they not only try different comps themselves and are, try to workshop their own strategies, they also like to switch their players around. Mirror recently has been subbing in on the Brigida role or the Zarya role so they can run that dive style, and OGE is definitely a phenom on that Winston as well. They went to map 5 before. It's possible to happen again, but if I think the smart money is on Philly getting ready to go and rocket their way to the finals. But excited to break that down. I think the match is going to be starting in a few minutes here, so I'm going to read chat and see if there's any cool questions or things to bring up beyond what I've already said. Kind of give you the whole rundown. But Eddie, if you have anything that you'd like to talk about.
Well, yeah, I would. Yeah, seeing as I've come back to the game, it seems damage is pretty good, right? Genji, pretty good, pretty good. I have to be honest, I love seeing a lot of Ashe, and we're going to be watching Carpe, and just like anyone else who is a fan of Hitscan, I'm really looking forward to seeing what he's going to do in this matchup with his Ashe when he plays her. I love top tier Genji play, so I'm really excited for that as well. Possibly EQO on that role from what you've told me from the last time they played this. So I'm just glad that damage is back in a big way, and it's, even though Brig's getting played still a lot, it seems that the damage has now been buffed up until the point where you can, like, things die. Like right, damage
almost
collapses.
Some people don't like how fast it is, but I kind of don't mind it, because I feel like if you got to hug cover, you got to have good positioning, and if you don't, you just get bopped in the face with all sorts of things that delete you. I think it makes the game play very active rather than back in the day. I remember us having, I tried to explain goats to you like a year ago, right? And like it's difficult to break that down, whereas this is a very shooter centric meta, but of course with the Overwatch MOBA abilities mixed in to add some texture with it as well. So I'm a big fan anyway, especially this current version of it where there's a lot of comps you can run.
Yeah, that's really exciting. Maybe I'm going to be a bit controversial here, but I actually like watching Sombra dive. I enjoy watching that comp happen because it can be not that fun to play against the Sombra, but as the Sombra player, it's a lot of fun to sort of. I've been watching Soon play it a little bit, especially on Nimbani, from when I was watching Paris VODs in preparation for this, and just the way he's like. He had 3 absolutely money EMPs, and he got really greedy and got caught out like a couple of times. But for the plays that did happen, it was really entertaining for me. So I hope we see some Sombra dive today. That's what I'm looking forward to. I'm just, I'm really glad that damage is back. I understand that some people don't like how good it is, but the one thing that I would say compared to the last meta that I was familiar with, which was Goats, that fights seem to last forever, and I know there's a bit of that in this meta sometimes, but I'm glad that stuff actually dies when it makes a mistake. That I'm really grateful for that. I think it makes for a much more fun viewing experience, so I'm really looking forward to that. I am actually really hyped, chat. I'm really hyped to be back, so I can't wait to watch the match. Definitely.
And so as Eddie said, he was studying for the Paris match, which got rescheduled due to a power outage. And we're all, if I had hair, I would have been tearing it out in
Yeah.
frustration because we prepared for that match. But secretly, I've already been studying Philly's gameplay a lot anyway to be able to explain all the things that I said earlier about how they're flexing their players around in the different comps. So hopefully we're still well prepared to handle this one as well for you guys. I did not actually get a chance to read chat. I don't know if you have at this point at all, Ed. It is going quite quickly. A lot of people in there. Want to say thanks for everybody who's coming in to tune in for this stream. Game's going to be starting in a little bit here. If Carpe gets Owl MVP, what hero will be getting the MVP skin? Torb? Sim? He's one of both those heroes. That's kind of a bit of a troll question. Man, it's tough for Carpe because I think his year to win it was year one, and he's definitely a good candidate this year. But yeah, I don't know. It's tough. If he was going to get it, I think Ash or McCree might be the best call for him because, well, I guess we'll find out today. Maybe he's making the campaign for his MVP run in this very match. Yeah. And the past few weeks, his Ash has just been remarkable, where multiple things come at him and he just hits every shot and you just can't win. Like there's no strategizing. Like, all right, let's focus Carpe. What we're gonna do is we're gonna send half our team after him, and then he hits 3 headshots. They all go down. Well, what do you do at that point, right? And there is gonna be a little bit of that in this game, I think.
He can't kill us all if we trade, right? Yeah. Oh no, we're all dead. Okay, fantastic.
No, he can actually.
Yeah. No, it turns out he can.
And that goes to your point, Ed, about how DPS power has increased significantly. The Ash buffs especially allow for him to be, or her, to be very flexible, whereas she was more rigid back in the day when she was first launched, where kind of a sniper and had spam TNT over the top. Now her hip fire is really good, and she ADS is faster, loads faster, so she's a lot more flexible. So when you put that type of power in the hands of a player like Carpe, well, he's reacting constantly and can hit every shot. And he has been recently anyway.
Yeah.
Who do you think was going to win? I think we did answer that. Keep going, Ed.
Yeah, I was just going to say, going back to, it was when Ash got revealed, this is quite a long time ago now. I remember thinking to myself, I was looking for a new main because at the time McCree wasn't very good. Obviously, he got buffed subsequently and whatever. But when Ash was revealed, it's a particular favorite character of mine. I love her design. I love how she works. And watching someone like Carpe play them it just kind of hits different for me because I can't get kills with TNT. And this man can seemingly just pick pixels out of the air. So I really hope we get to see a lot of Ash today, so I am excited.
Okay, so I'm just checking in with our feed. At the moment, we're planning on still just using the feed they gave us, correct?
No, I have actually put the live feed in the background. Producer Ed has come through.
Wow, this is why you're in that chair, Ed. This is why you're in the producer's seat.
Right.
I don't know if I can handle this big mix up at the last moment. But so as this begins to wrap up, me and Ed a few times here might have to oh my god, there's actually Tay Zonde in our chat. Or is that the Overwatch League chat? Okay, yeah, I was looking at the wrong one. Oh my god, I almost freaked out. He does watch Overwatch League and he's actually verified in their chat right now. So I thought he was in our chat. It's okay. I still love all of you guys, but the man behind Chocolate Rain does deserve a little bit of a extra reaction. Anyway, as I was saying, we will have to live sync up, I believe. Right now they're showing a junk rat.
Yes,
an actual
with wings.
With
yes.
Junkrat.
Yes.
Okay, so are you? Yeah, I don't know if you're able to put that on the screen, but if you're the way we will be watching it, we'll have the casters at the same time. So there's some streams like this don't have the casters. We are going to have them, but have them muted a little bit, so you'll only have to watch this perspective in order to get the whole full picture. But be waiting for the games to start before we switch over. So apparently, Carpe is in the lead for the MVP race, which I did not know, and I feel like I should have known. I haven't watched that closely, so I don't. If it's not him, then who? Like, it's tough because other teams have
Joy, maybe.
Yeah, I would say him, but like other teams swap players out a little bit more and don't visibly look like they need that player to overperform, and instead like everybody performs at a high level. Yeah. So
he is like a traditional carry. He has been since the league has started. He's been that guy for that team for a long time.
He has, Eddie, but this year, Philly, and you're going to see this, they might be one of the most disciplined teams. So the old Philly that you knew from years ago,
Okay,
where
all
they're
right.
the scrappy team, where they're splitting up and everything and fragging out, that's kind of gone, honestly. Like the coaching has taken a step up, but also their support pickups have taken a big step up. Alarm or Funny Astro, I would say, would be good candidates for Rookie of the Year. They come in and just add this like discipline to the team. Funny Astro, of course, was famous for his Lucio gameplay, was like in the top 5 spots for Lucio in the GOATS era or something on multiple different alt accounts, on top of great success and contenders as well. He's a player that is just, he's got remarkable Lucio mechanics. But between him and Alarm, who was famous for the Fusion University team that won in NA just countless times, they perform in a completely different way. They can play a very disciplined style as well. And in fact, I would say that scrappy style is kind of gone from them. But those moments where Carpe does pop off still do happen on top of that, which is why they've been so close to winning championships up to this point. They haven't quite won one. They get close multiple times, but I think a lot of people think actually this might be the tournament for them to take finally, seeing as they look to have done the growing pains for this meta and have dominated it in a way that some other teams haven't. Shock's always a threat to dominate though, so you got to look out for them. And Paris have possibly the best Genji. So down the line in the bracket, it gets a little tricky, but up against a team like Gladiators, you'd think that they've got it figured out.
Apparently, Tiddy back in the chat says Funny Astro isn't eligible for Rookie of the Year, unfortunately. He's just letting me know that.
That's really interesting. Maybe is that because of playtime or when he joined, or I'm not sure how that works. Rookie of the Year is really tough in the Overwatch League because a lot of rookies come in late into the season due to their age, because they have to, be 18 in order to play. So a player like Sparkle only recently came in, and it's difficult to know, like, how do you weigh Rookie of the Year if you didn't play the whole year? And some players perform better in different metas than others. So having that shorter duration kind of biases the voting. Truth be told, these awards don't matter too much. Like, they're not the most important thing in the world to get perfectly right. And maybe having a runoff voting would be nice for that kind of thing, and know who's the runner up, and would do better justice for this kind of thing when especially when both regions are split. That's another thing. The APAC and NA divisions are split due to the state of the world, obviously, where they're playing in completely different regions. So there's a lot of debate whether the top NA teams would compete, or how they would compete with the top APAC region team. Someone asked in chat earlier, which team do I think is the best? It's tough because each meta, it looks like they jockey for position for which region plays it better. So because of that, it's hard to know exactly who would clash. It is known that APAC plays closer, generally speaking, and in NA, there's bigger gaps between teams, but we still have the top 3 or 4 teams in NA that I think would compete fairly comfortably up against the APAC region.
They're saying Funny Astro was on a 2-way last year, so that's why.
I mean, for all the technicalities that you could bring up, I mean, I'm sure you're right. I don't mean to yell at you.
Yeah. Don't shoot the messenger,
yeah, but I
Back to,
don't know who do I have to write a letter to? Do I have to ping Jeff Kaplan right now? I'm in a Discord with him. This
Got
is
him on speed dial, Jeff. Hello. No. Back to the most important issue that I wanted to bring up. You mentioned it in passing while we're filling here, waiting for the matches to start. The most important issue, Fredo, is what skin would you get? If you were the MVP, what skin would you get for what hero?
Okay, so Fredo the player is MVP now, not... Oh.
Yeah, Fredo the MVP. Let's be real, it's not far off. It's not far off the truth. What would be your skin? What hero would you choose?
Well, first I'd have to know what position I could even play in the Overwatch League, and that seems like such an insurmountable difference in skill of where I'd have to get to.
No.
Mercy. Brig, maybe? She's a little difficult too at that tier.
Yeah.
She's the character I got the highest with, I think, in ranked right now, around a 4K. I don't know if... See, the truth is, the funny thing, while you've been away, Ed, is that the Shock have subbed in Super, their Reinhardt player, to play Genji, which just goes to show you that if the rest of your squad is elite, you can have a, you
can do whatever you want.
500 DPS in that role. Granted, he is talented though. Like, he's good at Genji, but he's not like Owl Pro level at Genji. Anyway, so I'm just trying to imagine which team would carry me and what role would I need to be on to not, carry too much weight. And it might be DPS, actually. Maybe I just play Reaper and Junkrat. I think Junkrat. I think Junkrat would have to be my pick.
Right.
This is
I respect the choice.
the good news is that we actually did need to fill. So these long Frito answers, where it took me 5 minutes to get to the point, is exactly what we were looking for. So we've successfully dragged this out a little bit.
I'm really happy I asked you. For me, right, I'm going to flip it to me if you allow me. It would have to be McCree, my first love, the original hero that made me play the game and love it. Back in 2016.
If I had, that might be Carpe's pick. He's pretty good at him.
He's got some great skins already, though. What would you do? What style would you do? Right, because he's basically
fish?
yeah, right.
That would look kind of lame, but
no, he shoots fish, right? Shoots like it's the Peacemaker is actually a Carpe. Whatever. Yeah, I would have to go McCree. He's already basically Clint Eastwood, so we'd need some other Western themed skin, or maybe not. I don't know. What do you think, chat? What would be your... If you were the MVP, try and imagine, chat. I know our chat is all top 500s. Right? There's no plats in our chat, okay? Right, just to bring it back. What would your Agent MVP skin be? Let us know.
Okay. A couple minutes left till the game goes live. While we have a little bit more downtime, I'm going to remind anyone who has joined the stream, since I said it at the beginning, that this, of course, is a sponsored stream with the Overwatch League, and we're just testing it out here. There's going to be a little bit of growing pains. Going to be attempting to do live analysis and breakdowns of the team comps that they're using, as well as what you can take away for your own games as well, the strategies that are important for even just playing in ranked, so you can try to improve. At any point, be sure to leave us questions in the chat, things that you noticed or things you're confused about. Our chat is going a little crazy, and it's tough for me to keep up. But
yeah, everyone's giving their hero. Yeah.
If you add us, though, it does highlight and makes it a little bit easier to follow. And if you're a mod as well, I do have a couple mods in here. We may need a couple more as well. If you're a member, for sure, you can get a mod. Just ask in chat. We'll do that. But in any case, before I forget, the stream is sponsored by the Overwatch League, and we would like you to click the link in the description to head over to subscribe to the Overwatch League if you haven't already. And even if you have, I think it would help for you to click it in order to get those numbers up. Because we want to try to do our best on this stream, but hopefully if everything goes well, we got quite an audience here today. I'm excited to see so many of you interested in some live pro analysis. Maybe we'll get a chance to do this again. So be sure to click that link below in our description, head over to the Overwatch League and hit subscribe, and maybe we can make this a more recurring thing. I'm excited to do it. I'm pretty hyped. We haven't even got the gameplay yet. I'm already having a good time.
I know.
I mean, this is kind of a Frito dream come true, just to hang out with my buddy and talk about a meta of a video game. If you told me that I'd be able to do this when I was 8 years old, I probably would have done backflips. So it's a dream come true for sure, especially with a pretty decent meta. So being asked about a Genji guide, I had been working on one, but the problem I'm having right now, and I'm trying to adapt to this for our guides moving forward, is that Blizzard's been changing things too quickly for me to be able to catch up. So Genji was really strong, but now he's reined in. So I'm hoping they leave him there now, and then maybe we can do a Genji guide on the current version of Genji. But
he's still in flux, right? He's still largely in flux.
Yes. The stats he has right now is slightly different than what you have on your live game, but largely the principles still apply. But I want to wait a little bit for it to turn over. So
people have been asking in the chat to turn Frito's mic up. It's actually... Can you imagine, chat, just for a moment, that you could control the volume of Frito's talking? Well, that's the privilege that I have today. So I've turned it up a little bit. So hopefully it's good. Let us know moving forward. If Frito, try if you can, imagine to talk over me while I'm still talking so that they can compare.
While you're speaking, oh, sorry.
Well, so we can talk at the same time.
Right now, at the same time.
Exactly,
I'm
right.
Currently listening to the MVP voting video on the Overwatch League live stream, which means that I think the game will be starting soon. I'm very happy to see Alarm be in the voting for this. He's up for it anyway. Alarm, Carpe, these are really good picks. I would go with Alarm though. Like I love Carpe and I wanted him to win it season 1, but I'm telling you guys, Philly Fusion's success comes from that backline being a massive improvement. It's a big reason why the Shock have been so dominant for so long, is their backline was insane, and those 2 rookie pickups just have been remarkable all season long. Are you planning on revisiting the Orisa Sigma guide once the new patch goes live? So I have decided that I think, well, first of all, we don't know what's going to go live from the patch. I think most of it will, but I'll make I think Orisa's going to be either radically different or like really, really bad. Like she might be really weak after that nerf. Like, so I might not cover that at all, but I have been working on Orisa and a Sigma guide. The Orisa one we might have to scrap, but the Sigma one should still come out because I still think he'll be a top pick regardless. And a lot of the rules that I want to break down in that video will still apply, even though his stats have been lowered somewhat. So one thing you'll notice about pro level Sigmas, especially like Fury here, that I guess you're going to get a sneak peek to that video now. We're spoiling it ahead of time, but the biggest thing you can implement in your Sigma gameplay is being sure to use Grasp to get over health at the poke phase of the fight. So I feel like a lot of players, after seeing your guys' VOD submissions, hold on to that ability as like an interaction or an escape, when really it's a spam. And you'll see Fury does this really well. Not only are you like giving a pseudo shield for your team when you step in front, but you getting that extra health allows you to go aggro and go take duels, right? Because if you have 800 health and one-shot kill combo that keeps coming back with the accretion and hyperspheres follow-up, the more health you have, the more aggro you can go into that, the further you can go and still be able to survive. So that's like a crucial thing. It goes down by 2 seconds on the next patch if it does go through, but I don't think that necessarily changes its personality, because the buff they gave it a while back gives more conversion of the damage coming in to the health itself. So because of that, I don't think you'll want to save it, because the benefit of doubling your health, I don't think there's a point to hold on to it. I could be wrong in that. It's always interesting to see what top level players do, and part of this stream, as well as anytime I watch pro level play, I'm learning, right? So we're trying to live breakdown, and I just say it popped up. We got 3.5 minutes left, or a little bit more than that. So we have about 4 minutes to fill before the games go live. But we'll be trying to do that now, but we'll also be learning actively, right? So sometimes that takes a really like critical attention to detail in order to figure out what the pros are doing. Because when you consistently see a Sigma player walk in front and get that farm to get extra health every time, and then you see what they do with it, well, it's like common sense to me that that's the best way to play. And I think if you guys incorporate that one tip, you're going to see an instant improvement, because you're like, oh, I got all this extra health. What do I do with this? Well, just run at them, and in ranked, if you start doing that, just go make plays, which is incredibly strong. We might say it's powerful, but I also think it's kind of awesome at the same time. That's what Overwatch is all about.
Yeah, when I obviously coming back, one thing I noticed about Sigma is, I think I said this to you off stream, where I was like, I think a lot of the player base respects how Ryan plays, right? How they see that as tank play in Overwatch. And I have to say, when I watch Sigma, like top level Sigmas, how they play footsies and how they use their tools to play make left an impression on me immediately. I was expecting, like, there's just shields up all the time, right? And it's about how you pull lamp out of the BAP and all that kind of stuff. But watching top level Sigmas is really fun for me. And I think you've said before that you think he might be the best character in the game. Are you ready to go public with that? Now, spoiler alert. But do you want to give some reasons for why you think that is?
Yeah, I mean, me and Samito argue about this. He thinks it's Brig, but I think because Sigma can't, I mean, his shots might be a little harder to hit than hers, but he has the stats that when he lands them, it does so much, right? And especially with the gravitic flux, rather, it's an ult that can set up a fight or interrupt an ult fight, and that sort of flexibility is what gives him a lot of his power. I would also say that a thing that has happened with Sigma play over time is that players have just gotten better, right? Like, he's the type of character that you might have some ideas of how you should go about playing him, but the flux example that I get, or the grasp example that I gave you earlier of how you should utilize that, the barrier as well. One player that saw immediate improvement from the grand finals last year when Sigma was first introduced was Choyobin, who at the start, I mean, they lost to the Atlanta Reign, I believe, in the playoffs to go into the lower bracket. Partially because Choyobin Sigma, he just didn't really know how to play the character. He made a lot of mistakes, and it seemed like Coach Krusty took him into the lab and he grinded Sigma to now where he's the best. And part of the reason why he was the best in the grand finals, you watched this VOD from last year, he could put his shield perfectly to protect his team fluidly as things come in. So that is part of the reason why it's a little tricky for the bounce team, I think, to balance that shield, because expert use of it, I mean, you can put it exactly where you need it, right? And it's dynamic. So the flank starts to come in. If you place it perfectly, it's like, well, they're immune now from that area. And we're going to see two really good Sigma players in this matchup now, or even three if Poho comes in. But Space is really good at this, especially at hitting his offense abilities. The Gladiators really like putting Space on off angles in order to make plays, but Fury as well is just clinical with his Sigma play, with the shield placement as well, but also hitting accretion rocks. In the Summer Showdown Grand Final up against Paris, he must have rocked or accretioned Sparkle's blade like 10 times. Like he hit it every single time. And that's the type of thing that for like pro level guides. So when I make guides, it's like either pro level or intermediate level. How he does that is something I need some extra time to look back into, and maybe something I'll consider for the guide. But we also wanted to shout out that we have a member of the Overwatch League in the chats for the staff there. Al Sean is going to be in helping us moderate. So you can all say hi to him and thank him in the Overwatch League for making this all possible.
Yeah, thank you again to Blizzard for letting us do this. And again, just to let you guys know that this is a sponsored stream, if you can, please go into the description and click all the relevant links where you subscribe to the Overwatch League. We're really grateful, me especially, coming back working with Frito on this broadcast it's a real joy for me, so I hope it's as fun for you as it is for us. So if you could do that, you might get more of these. That's all I'm going to say.
Heck yeah. I watch the league anyway. So I try to dissect it for every bit of knowledge of the game. And it's always a joy for me to see the players evolve week to week and how they deal with the problem of the meta changing or a different hero pool and that kind of thing. Hero pools is a pretty controversial thing in the league. I don't know if you know, Ed. I'm sure you do. They've changed the way they work, but they're still in the games that lead up to the seeding so like the regular season games that count for the overall playoffs. Those games apply to the seeding for the tournaments now. So now we're in the tournament for the quarterfinal, actually, for Philadelphia and the Gladiators. But leading up to this, because the teams have to play with a hero pool environment, they might not be able to practice and hone the meta as well. And because of that, they're forced to get practice time on alternate comps. And the benefit that has when you get into the tournament is that they have time just testing those out. So they can more easily flex their own preferences and use their star players. One or two tournaments ago, Florida got second place out of nowhere almost, partially because their tracer was so good and they were really good at leveraging that. Or the last tournament, Genji came up to be really big, and EQO and Sparkle going head to head on that with some spectacular gameplay. This one is the most diverse, I think, of all of those yet, because they've got the different comps that we spoke about. We keep getting more people into the stream, so I want to be respectful to those who have already been watching up to this point, so I don't want to repeat too much, but the quick overview right now for this meta, and we're going to develop these ideas as we see examples of it on stream as the games go on. But there's different variants there's like 1.5 variants of the spam comp, and then there's this new dive comp that they've come up with. The spam comp, it usually has Orisa Sig, and because their cooldowns and abilities are so strong, you can play around them and put a Batiste with them that plays in the same position. Ashe, really good there. And then usually like one flanker. Depending on the team, they'll have either a Genji or a Tracer to go off and kind of make pincer attacks and make plays on the halts that they're setting up. And it's very much a shooter type positioning where you need cover and crossfires and angles, because there is limited resources to stay alive. The ones that exist are really strong, like Batiste Lamp and things like that. But once they're gone, then you're just getting deleted. So that the game plays very, I would say, impactful like that. The team fights don't drag out as long, and there's a lot of ways for every position to frag back when you're playing those characters. Now, the other comp, dive comp, puts a Zarya bubble on Winston, which allows him to go up against Brig and really get farm on those characters clumped together, so he gets primal really fast and allows you to manipulate the front line, and typically that gets played with a Sombra pincer attack. So that's my template for what I expect to hopefully see. For all I know, they play totally different characters, and all that is totally out the window.
Yeah,
but, this is the very first educational style co-stream that the Overwatch League is attempting, so I'm going to do my best. But there's limits to my ability to. I know it looks like a Magic 8 Ball, but I can't actually see the future. So I'm going to try my best with that.
Just a quick update for the chat. We are just about to come into game, so give us a moment to change screens and get everything ready. But the match is about to start pretty soon, so
I think it's live now, Ed. So if you want to switch over and tell me,
okay.
We're gonna have to sync now and do our little bit of production magic.
Okay, so I've got prepare to attack. I'm going to pause at prepare to attack on 15 seconds left. Okay?
Sounds good.
Paused.
I'm with you, and then when you count me down, I'll press play, and we'll be all synced up, ready to go.
Okay, so I'm going to press play. 3, 2, 1, play. There we go. And give them some sound. Sorry, chat.
Sounds good. Let us know in the chat how all the levels are, if you want us to change anything, and can be tuned on the fly. So the first thing you'll see here, Ed, in chat, they're going to have the Symmetra come out of spawn to very quickly get them a rollout. It's like a budget way to get a speed boost to get an early positioning advantage towards the point. And we do, in fact, see a comp mismatch here where LA Gladiators are running that dive variant that we talked about, and Fusion are running the spam. So they're going to take position on the point on the backside and look for crossfires. And what the Gladiators want to do is try to get a clean dive that they safely can isolate a target with a bubble on their Winston.
Kevster scouting up top. Going down towards Carpe's McCree. Oh, he's recovered. Ooh.
So trades happening. And Carpe's doing that thing where he just clicks every head in the world. So one benefit of the Gladiators comp is that the Zarya surviving late into the fight provides a ton of damage, but the Philadelphia's comp is able to have a lot of burst kills from any of their players. And them just being able to sustain and get that early amplification matrix really was able to win. So I may put a point about that and write a quick note to myself. We're getting some messages here at the moment. I apologize, chat, for 1 second. Apparently there's subtitles on and no audio. Sounds a bit low.
The sound is a bit low, but subtitles aren't on. I can turn it up. I can turn it up a bit for you. Let me know if that... I'm trying to keep it at an acceptable level with us still talking over it, chat, so you'll have to let me know. Because we've also got the casters on in the background, so I don't want them to overpower us or us to overpower them too much.
Okay, so we're going to try to boost the audio slightly there and then let the chat respond. Let us know now that we've put it up slightly, if that's a good spot for it. So there what you saw is, because they don't have a Genji here, they're able to put the Nano on OGE, which just allows for an immense amount of frontline pressure to manipulate this really tanky bunker style comp. And now that the Gladiators have positions of the map, this comp is really good at cycling their ultimates. Because as you saw there, an EMP just wipes them entirely, and Funny Astro doesn't have rally. I don't know if he used it right then or in the previous fight. You'd think he'd have more ult charge if he did.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect him to be on like 9%. If he hadn't already
Right.
used it.
One counter that you can do is try to rally right before the EMP comes in, but it's very tricky because the dive comp has the mobility to set the engage where they want, and the bunker style comp needs to have its positioning perfect. So that's essentially the philosophy of what they're trying to set up here. So ideally, the Gladiators wants to engage earlier rather than later, and Philly's getting a little bit of position here on the point, but have to make sure not to get flanked or hacked or isolated.
To just disable it going in, which means the Gladiators can continue to take the fight. They don't have to worry about it.
But as you can see here, yeah, that echo pick, it's kind of interesting. It's not something they've ran before, but it's going to give them a little bit more tankiness, being able to swap over that Winston. But I might have to mute the casters myself. I'm trying to listen to them like the chat is, but it's really throwing me off.
Yeah. No worries. No worries.
For me to be able to hear them and talk at the same time.
Now it's good. Okay, it's good, chat. We'll keep it here. Yeah, Frito is hearing a different thing to me, so he can have them muted, so it doesn't distract him. But I'm trying to give you guys the best presentation possible.
Okay, Ellie does have EMP again, so we'll look to that to be set up. But the supports and Carpe and all of them will want to spread out a bit, and then hopefully only like their tanks get hit. Keep a close eye on Alarm here, chat. He'll be the one to have to drop an lamp in order to save whoever gets EMP'd.
Shaz can't die here.
Yeah, they're gonna nano the monkey. You see how they put a bubble on him as well. They break it, giving the Zarya
EMP
charge.
comes after.
And then now he's got primal. So they're gonna get the whole position on the point. And without their abilities, I mean, it turns out abilities are strong in Overwatch right now, chat. So if you EMP the entire team, well, they can't use them. And with this comp,
and that's it.
It looks like they're gonna be able to clean it up. So the dynamics of this comp are really cycling those ultimates and getting up to the primal rage, which just allows so much control of the fight, so much that really your DPS and off tank don't take any heat. The way to counter this comp would be to try to focus Mirror, because he's the character that plays in front a bit aggressively, but can be targeted. But if he doesn't get focused and instead OG makes space for him, well, then he gets all of the damage upgrade from the gaining charge off the Winston, and then everyone else can crossfire freely.
I really like seeing the Anna with the Winston, obviously, because for the ranged heals and the nanos and the nades, I'm a big fan of this comp, I have to be honest. I like it.
You're exactly right. And the interesting thing about Brigitte right now is that you might think of her as a brawler, and that's kind of not true. Like, she's better as a ranged healer, actually. And she can brawl in close range too, but her healing is best actually at range. So because of that, it's a really good go-to pick for either comp, really. But now they've got the Junkrat, which is, with that trap, you got to respect it, okay? I'm a huge Junkrat enthusiast. Bobbin pipes here, and they put it right on the Orisa's feet. They may even pull the tank into it with a halt, but it gets destroyed. But they have enough firepower here to at least make OG afraid. And another cool thing about this comp is maps like this that have a, yeah, I think he actually got halted right there, which is just a rough life of a Winston. You can hack those packs in order to really give you extra health, which is what makes the number so good. But once you lose the Winston, this whole comp kind of just doesn't function. So it really requires the Winston player to navigate all of the death that surrounds him, whether it be accretion, halt, the damage from the DPS, and all the poke and stuns from Brig, all that put together. But once you get into the ult phase, now the Gladiators might be able to work towards something. They don't have anything online yet.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, what are you, if you're Gladiators Echo, what are you looking to ult here? What would you pick as your ult to steal for their Echo?
I think Sigma or Brig would be the best call, though the Brig pick might get blown up by the Junkrat. So I think Sigma is the best because he quickly can get in, get some damage done, and get his ultimate, and his ult is going to be great up against this bunker style comp where everyone kind of plays together mostly. But at the moment they're splitting up in order to dodge this EMP. So who are they going to target with the EMP is the real question. He does go for the Sigma copy. They're peeling back to give it max respect.
Big nade. I agree, bro. It was a big nade.
The fight's still going on, but the Gladiators get the point. And this is how powerful. powerful this new dive, getting away, is just the ult charge you're going to get off this Winston's primal face. Just could be incredible. Watch Shaz get up to half nano again. So they are rallying to take position here yet again, but they only first weathered the storm.
Great grab.
Yeah, traditionally you might think, okay, it's trading back and forth. You might think that the spam damage tanks ults are insane. Oh, the grab wasn't enough. Okay. This is what I mean about Philly being able to play disciplined, right? They abandoned the point. How's that for a shot call for rank for you? Like, because they know to respect the ult fight from the Gladiators comp there, that they fall all the way back to hallway to try to not give up a good EMP and just regain their resources, get rally back, and then with rally and putting down a window, well, then they have the damage to zone out the point. So it's super important that the Fusion play to their strengths in that way, where they have to have the right resources, and if they don't,
Poco hacked, can't ult, yeah.
98%. OG is having the Winston
he landed
game.
On the health back.
He did get the health back. Rally coming off as well. Trades back and forth, but Carpe is more important to the comp, I think, than the other side, losing theirs. Plenty of time to still regroup after this, though.
Oh,
they don't have to win
save Ivy.
Tire coming in. I also would say losing the Orisa is not too big of a deal because Poco is just going to be able to bully his way to the point here. And they are going to cap. And unless a miraculous stall effort comes in, I don't think any character is in position to do so. It was skirmish around the outside.
It was such such a huge lamp to save Ivy so that they could get the tire out. OGE was all over him. I think he was on like 20 HP for like 5 seconds, kept getting healed. Lamp came out. I can turn me down, chat, so Eddie is way louder.
When you're up against a dive comp like the Gladiators are running,
so as we go through this,
there we go.
When we get up to a pause, we may be able to go back, or we will rather, to specific team fights so we can break them down more in depth. At the moment, we're struggling to keep up with the action and doing a decent job, I hope so. But dodging that EMP was the secret to winning that round. And it's the type of shot call that seems very unintuitive, I think, but the type that these high-level teams really excel at, just knowing what fights they can't win and just abandon them entirely. It's so important in this meta where everything is so impactful that you got to give it respect. So taking pole position on the point now, just trying to get some early poke. The point's not going to unlock for another 8 seconds, so they use the bubble. Whoop, don't have a feed now. Okay, it's back. They use the bubble on the Winston just to get some charge. And this heals. Actually, this is, he fell off. Funny, Astro interrupted the jump mid-air. What a play! My uneligible Rookie of the Year candidate just completely countered the entire thing, and Gliders know they just can't function without their Winston, really. Like, there's no point to go in. He is the linchpin of this entire comp working, because he absorbs all the resources of the team. If he's not there, you just can't fight. But he's back now, but the point is ticking up.
Kevster just trying to build some ult here, I think.
This is the best start you could ask for Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're in a good position, but they need to
targeting the front line and just zoning them back. The problem is if you can't find damage angles from this zone, well, the AoE healing is just going to get ults. So they got to find a pick here, really. Just poking this isn't good enough. As you can see, Carpe's poke's better, right? So if they back up to that back hallway, Carpe's got the damage advantage, and the Sombra Tracer can't really fight anything that they can kill. Attempting to find one there, but they just lamp. Oh, they're turning it with the ults!
Just going to get demolished in this choke point.
So despite everything I called, it turns out the ult, the caster curse though, of course, the ult exchange for this comp is just incredible when you get it to work. I was really worried there. I don't remember who Carpe picked off. Maybe it was Bird Ring, I think.
It was Bird Ring, yeah.
But it goes to show you how balanced this matchup actually is. You might think the spam tanks are just objectively better, but if the fight continues too long, Mirror's Zarya having 100 charge is really scary, and the front line has to run away from it.
Also, think about like how much Winston is cleaving if they're all in such a small space, right? How much? I mean, he's built his ult, so.
And, the opportune time
And that's the
for
principle of the comp, because there is a lot of AoE healing, but you're giving enough damage to overwhelm it ideally, and that's going to be a massive EMP.
I don't know.
But they do dodge it.
Yeah.
They largely dodge it, and Carpe gets away, getting a pick off. Getting the Brig, that's massive. They are going to invest the Nano Boost to duel the Blade, which works, but they lose the other healer as well.
The Blade expended for that one. A very scrappy fight between these teams.
They are stalling the point here, but there's no way that OG can stay around. He's got to go back to get healed, so they're going to lose some percentage of
The way
this.
this fight is going, anyone can
Both tank
Gonna
ults for Philly.
Seems like the Gladiators just
Right. I want to say that Philly is favored to win the round at this point, with control and with how many ults they have and what ults they'll have up by the last point. However, the secret win condition will be Mirror getting up to 100 charge again with that grab. I think that's how they'll be able to swing the fight back, because it'll just be will be too much damage for Philly to handle like it was
Kevster can't die here.
the previous time. Would Ball be better than Monkey? That's a great question, Trees. I will cover that later, I think. Explain why that most teams run the Ball. Carpe here fighting a 1v2 like he typically does. Fends it off mostly. And now it's last fight territory.
They have to touch, yeah.
Right. Up against a supercharger, and can they get this thing down? Okay, they can. Philly didn't get as much out of that as they wanted, but they have a window up now.
Grab's coming up.
Yeeting the grab across the world. Do they find the bomb? They do, but the lamp alarm with the perfect immortality field is going to save that. Absolutely beautiful peel from this team. So I think they should clean it up here. If we keep Carpe alive, definitely. That's it. That's the round, folks. So them being able to peel back like that, I think the difference that you really saw was in the fight where the Graviton turned it and I didn't expect it, the immortality field got used early. Whereas in that case, Alarm learned his lesson and decided to use the immortality field exactly when that pulse bomb came in. The whole team was in that, basically, the immortality field. And him timing that exactly right was the difference between Gladiators having the damage to burst something down or Carpe being able to stay alive in order to find his picks. Lamp balance. So you could be upset about it, but I think the goal should have been to force him to use it earlier, right?
Yeah,
And I think if you look back to some of those other jumps, and I guess when the casters are on screen in between matches, we go to our face cams. We're still working
I'm
this
on
out,
it.
chat.
I'm on it.
You're on it? Okay, okay. Sorry. As I was saying, I think OG had to get more aggressive value earlier in that neutral fight where they looked, I mean, it felt like it was like 66%, and they didn't really commit until 99. And it's tough because if you overcommit too early and get crossfired and feed and die, then you just lose, right? But the benefit of trying to get in more aggressively early is that you can force the lamp out before they or so they can't save it, basically. Like, you got to start forcing those cooldowns, the regenerative burst that needs to be on cooldown. You got to force that out early so they feel pressure to not have enough healing. And also, the quicker you get up to that Zarya charge, right? So she has a 100 charge and able to zap things. If that takes too long to set up, well, what happens happens.
I was also a bit.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think Birdring's EMPs were a bit conservative in the angle that he tried to get them. I felt like Philly were always either Carpe was ready for him and, you know, doing that 1v2 against Birdring and Kevster and keeping that sort of flank angle under control. And that gave Philly the ability to read that, okay, well, Birdring keeps having a TP out, so EMP is probably going to come, like, from the front, not from somewhere where it'd be really damaging. And they kept, like, playing this amazing footsie game and peeling back and not having EMP being this devastating thing. Like, they got EMP'd and it did nothing, right? Which is something that I'm not used to. I was.
It doesn't happen to most teams, right? We're doing some VOD reviews, and usually it's like EMP while free team fight, right?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
The secret there is the positioning. You can finish your point, but I
was just gonna say, I think
to go on.
Yeah, no, I think they did that really well. They defended against EMP really, really well, and I think that, you know, you're talking about how to get lamp out of somebody, and I was looking to the Tracer, to Gladiators Tracer, to apply that pressure, because Grav Bomb is a combo that Lamp is going to get used on, and ideally you'd want someone to force out Lamp too early, but it just wasn't happening. He couldn't find the angles because Carpe's too good.
Right. That's a very good point. And this is how this gets explained at the pro level very frequently, that despite me being high on the dive comp, it did work for one round and nearly worked there as well, I would say. The struggle with playing with dive is that poke and damage is good, like we said at the start of the stream. So because of that, if you start taking too much damage early in the fight, or, you know, a whip shot that sends your Winston off the map, or that, you know, things like that. If you start taking early poke damage, you can never really set up, right? So you want to be able to get into a staging position to then go in deeper from that once you have control, because you don't want to just blindly go in straight ahead with no information, knowing where they are. But it comes down to a player like Carpe on that McCree hitting enough shots at range to deter the ability of that dive to come in, right? Because they're not running a Rhine shield, they're not running that what ranked players would call a main shield in the front to block that damage out. You sort of have to just face into it, or, you know, sneak past it. And perhaps if we were to watch back the VOD, maybe my criticisms of OGE might actually just be, well, he's just getting hit too much before he goes in. That can sometimes happen as well. But I'm not exactly sure how much time we have in between these maps. So, like, I don't know if we have enough time to do a breakdown. We'll definitely do some at the half. I think we might stack up more to do then. So at the moment, that's what I'm going to plan to do. Assuming that it's only going to be a minute or so for the next map to start, so we won't get more play-by-play analysis till halftime. But there's a sizable halftime break, so we'll start to stack a few team fights in there. Someone also asked me the difference between Winston and Wrecking Ball. Now, OG has been playing the Wrecking Ball in recent weeks, and it can be good. But if you think about the role that he's trying to fulfill on the Winston, Ball can do that sort of, but the strength Ball has over Winston is the displacement, not the cleave, right? So the strength of Ball is if they have positioning errors, you knock them towards you and isolate, divide and conquer. Then it's like a win more type strategy, where if they make any mistakes, Wrecking Ball comes in, scoops them forward, pile drives them, and you all focus fire, and then it's stronger at surface level. The problem is if you don't displace them, then you would have rather have the Winston putting his strong bubble in place of everybody and pressuring down with the AoE cleave, right? Because it's really that cleave damage that is testing the limits of the supports. You start applying it, then some resources have to get used from Brig and Batiste, and it's more about draining those cooldowns than it is, right, just finding the elimination with that dive. It's a little bit more about the resource exchange over time rather than bursting the kill, which can work as well, and it definitely won your ranked games, I think. But
it's how they
I'm
turned
higher
that
on the
fight,
Winston.
right? It's how they turned that with the grav. Was basically Winston damage, like before and during the grav. Just because they repositioned really well to avoid Gladiators' pressure, but it also played into it, right? Because Winston is just there like zapping everybody, and the grav came in and they turned the fight that we thought they were going to lose. And I don't know if Wrecking Ball would have done the same thing in that scenario.
No, and it's a harder play to make. It's a more niche play to make. I am gonna write that down. Gardens. We can maybe look back at that. We'll have to be choosy about some of these team fights that we look back at. But the Gardens Grav. That's kind of a catchy name already. We got a YouTube title. Look at that. The Epic Gardens Grav. So
20 seconds. I'm going to swap screens now because Nimbani is just about to get underway, chat. So I'm going to swap.
Sounds
over.
good.
There we go.
So
no subtitles or anything. There were never subtitles on here, chat. By the way, I'm watching you. Okay.
Gladiators here. We'll have picked this map, by the way, and are flexing their, I guess, depth of hero rosters that they like to line up. This is looking for an early boop, and does it work? Oh, kind of, but Kinetic Grasp is pretty good of an ability. I don't know if they're gonna find that kill, but very nearly a pickoff right there. But so the Pharah here without a Mercy, is he gonna swap? It looks like he's going back
to spawn. Yeah.
See, the problem is, if he doesn't have a mercy pocket, he can't really off-angle against this,
Yeah, it's a cool little thing to try. Right
as in go the coast side and poke down. And if he goes main by himself, it just wasn't going to work. So he's decided to go to the Genji. They're going to have a full mirror here, looking to sneak down on the low ground. They're able to use the shields to kite their way through the center of the map. And a huge shot onto Ivy, and Space coming in with the cleanup. They are going to cap this. So really caught them out there. I really liked how the shield placement was, and me being a tank player, and maybe I'm a little biased on tank sometimes, and to be fair, they do carry a big percentage of the game anyway, but them setting up their bunker there aggressively and quickly, right? Like, you only have so much time to get use out of those shields. They got going, and Ivy, for whatever reason, just didn't know where the Ash was and got insta-killed. So between that and I mean, Space already has a flux.
The TNT after the kill as well was huge, right? And taking out the lamp from an angle they can't see anymore.
Right. So a big difference between looking at this in the mirror comp then is an ability like TNT, Halt especially comboing with it. That's going to put the type of pressure that we were talking about Winston providing. But they've got a window set up on the main street here. And Gladiators look like they came prepared with this map pick, because this is going to be one more fight to win streets.
They're way ahead in DPS ults as well.
Philly does do their classic kite back. But yeah, this is going to thin out the defense here. They may be able to get one last stall, but I'm a little afraid because this is almost one of those trap fights where you think you can win it, so they hang around trying to survive, peeling back forever, but they may have been better off just wiping there, because I don't think they're going to get a fight on the cart now. Like, Poco's going to come stall it, but how long is he going to last? They really were all in on that back pedal into that corner. And you saw on the previous map, whenever they were able to back into a hallway, they felt secured. Like they were just going to be able to work together and keep each other alive. But now when they're backpedaling into a low ground spot and Kevster's above them with Blade, well, it's just a bad regroup. It's a bad stage, essentially, for them to go to.
If it were you, and you was if you were Poco there, would you just jump off as soon as you lose those two frags?
It was too late because they committed resources, basically. Like they committed window. They said they used lamp and everything. They said they wanted to turn the fight there, and it's not a terrible call, but because it doesn't get value, well, they're constantly regrouping here. Now they have one final fight. They do have the ults to do it. So finally they found a hallway to stay alive in. Now let's see if Ivy's able to get any purchase out of this Blade. But Gladiators showing their best fusion impression, kiting back, surviving from the Blade.
Mirror hitting a really key brig whiplash on the Blade.
Definitely. Carpe does find a pick. That might just be enough right there. Because without your brig, you're going to stall this out and not really be able to push. But Space, I mean, has Space low-key been carrying this? I mean, the DPS have played sick as well, but Space has really been putting in the deeps.
Massive spawn advantage for them, and the Gladiators just haven't got enough picks. It was a great
The good news for the Philadelphia fans, though, is they didn't really need to win that fight. They just had to survive, and the respawns just keep coming back. So they do get some cart progress out of that, though. And a lot of people look at that and like, well, what did we gain out of that fight? But in truth, they got the cart a bit more forward. But they do have to touch it again. This is kind of an opening kill onto Mirror as well from Carpe. A thing that you can learn for your ranked games is noticing that cart meter in the top center. So if they don't touch it again soon, then that progress is going to be reset.
I've seen other teams at this point, they in Philly's position, they would push really far forward and try and keep Gladiators in their spawn. Why wouldn't you do that in Philly's position here? They chose not to do that, so why is that?
Teams have done that, but I think with their comp, they really like hallways and corners, and that's just their play style. So unless they have the aggressive abilities to use, they're just gonna bunker down essentially around cover. Philly knows how to use cover really well, which is why as soon as we've got to this position where they can rotate around cover, that's their whole game plan. That's what worked for them on Oasis when they won their rounds, and what's working them again here on C. Because I mean, we're coming down to 2.5 minutes now in a moment, when Gladiators was just cleaning up, you know,
Yeah,
the first
they
two
were-
stages.
Going for a second one here onto Shaz, and it will be again Curtin.
As soon as they found the positioning they like, they start to take control of it.
Kevster found literally zero value with his blade in the
Yeah, I was gonna.
He
Sideshow's
used it
just
and he got
mentioned that
immediately
Kevster
shut down.
didn't really get much value from his blade, and especially with OGE and Space coming up on their tank ults, like would it not have been wiser for him to hold it?
Except for the Philadelphia Fusion.
Exactly. We're in an assault type team fight here where they have to execute cleanly. And if Philly can do anything well, it is covering for each other in a defensive position. With the power of Funny Astro zoning out any aggression and alarms placement and healing, keeping them alive. They do go for an aggro peek here to try to cut off the rotation, and it doesn't work, honestly. They dodge it.
Good position
Yeah.
to be in if you're the Gladiators.
Kind of a good adaptation from the Gladiators there to try to take the fight elsewhere from the alternate side, but they decide now, since they have a resource advantage, they will just go main.
And Matrix as well. Fusion might be in trouble.
But again, do they find
Let's break
purchase
down Matrix.
with any of this?
Yeah, Astro's down.
Does go down here, and from the high ground, Bird
Okay,
damage boost.
Yeah,
finally, it might be
Rally too.
enough.
Unstoppable. Gladiators now rolling this
Enough
far
damage to
back.
overwhelm them. With the bongo,
Finish line.
I think Window was used in there as well.
Tries
Yeah,
to go
Bob
for the
into
last
Flux.
minute hero blade.
They used Bob to run forward. Flux came down, and Astro died before
Yeah,
she
the
could
Flux
rally.
forced out the lamp automatically. And once you do that, then you actually can find eliminations. And that was kind of the key there. Kevster's going to be thanking his team for getting good use out of all their ultimates after Blade didn't find too much. In his defense, though, in that position where there's an accretion and a brig stun and everything, and you don't have nano, well, the Genji starts to fall off a bit. So much so that maybe you could even say, you know, would another pick be better there? They are playing on the patch where Genji has a little bit more damage than he does now. So the pros obviously know better than I, but I think maybe in hindsight you could have decided to play something else if you're not
Maybe
going
he
to get
just
good
saw
value out of
something
it.
and he thought he could make a play, right? I mean, maybe I don't want to say it was a tilt ult, but with both tank ults coming up and Bob, odd time to use it the fight before. But whatever, they still won.
The good
next
news,
fight.
the reason why that Bren would have pointed this out is that in this meta right now, what you want to do is sync up the timing of your bongo placing with the blade connecting. So because of that, what I mean is, when Blade's coming in the sky after you, everybody looks up, right? And you got to focus that or you're just going to die. And bongo, when you use it, the enemy team wants to focus it. So what you do is you try to use them both instantly at the same time, essentially,
Split the attention.
so that the bongo applies to the blade as he's pulling it out, and the enemy just doesn't have a way to stop it. So they didn't go for that. Kevster instead decided to try to do a clutch blade. It ended up not mattering too much because their poke angles were enough, because they stacked enough offensive ults to eventually finish the map. But only a minute in the time bank. You know, this is still anybody's map, I would say. Philadelphia looking for the lower left pathing. You see the kind of difference between the two teams. One loves these hallways, right? I have no idea how. Oh, it must have been the flank.
Yeah.
Carpe must have hit a shot on Shaz there, and Poco finished it off. That's the only way that makes sense for him to be able to pop him like that.
What do Gladiators do here? Do they kite, or do they try and refrag?
Well, once we get the feedback, I'll try to tell you. Yeah, they sort of have to surround and try to find a kill. So Kevster had the right call there, attempting to take the duel against Carpe. With their healer down, this could be like an entire video by itself, and in fact it's something that I've been thinking about for a video. But depending on which character goes down when you're in a 5v6, your win condition to swing that fight back changes a little bit. If you don't have a healer, that means you're not going to sustain, obviously, so you can't play passively and play safe. You just won't be healed enough. So with that being the case, you have to like flank harder and go try to find and swing a pick back.
You have
fast.
to trade back like very quickly.
Right. Quickly, because you don't have the sustain. So Kevster attempted that against Carpe, but he had pack control. Carpe doesn't have a lot of damage up, but that's because he went on a flank. He wasn't playing for farm. I'm pretty sure he set up that crossfire. Carpe loves to flank and do that.
I was
That
going to
pick
say,
off-
yeah, just at the beginning, I was like, I wonder where Carpe is, because I couldn't see him. And I think, oh, Shaz picked again. Kevster trying to trade back.
First casualty in these fights,
Dead.
over and over right now, and they're just targeting him.
So
The Gladiators feel like they have to commit ultimate.
Kevster tried to pull out the blade there, but
Yeah,
just got focused down again. I realize you just said that, but my brain was catching up to the situation.
No worries. No
How
worries.
this is going wrong, but you can see how the map design kind of really favors the attacking team oftentimes here, because they're able to set up on the cart, and it's actually a very useful bit of cover. This is another tip from for any double shield players, or even Brig or anybody. You can kind of place right on this cart and position around it. So like as the attacks come in, the supports can use the cart as cover. And because of that, there's a bit of an attacker's advantage in this mirror, in my opinion. Just a little bit. It can be kind of tough once they get the cart rolling. Holding on first, I think, is the easiest point, but
they're really ahead in ults as well.
It is a good lamp. But Bob comes through.
Bob v Bob action.
It looked like the Bobs crowd controlled each other, which is something that happened yesterday. That might be a way that this meta has evolved, where Ashe players now are looking to bob the enemy's Bob out of the way, try to use that crowd control. But now after Lamp's been used, there's a small cooldown where they're able to Bongo Blade. Does get the dash reset. They're low up top, but if they're up top, they're not contesting the cart. So this might be another trap fight for another defense. Different defense this time. But what do these tanks do? They can hardly get healed. Carpe's out on the prowl, getting off angles. How do they get back to this? I mean, they're finally on the position they want, but after losing so many picks,
this is over. This is over.
I mean, Carpe is just unbelievable, isn't he? I mean,
he's amazing.
That's the kind of team fight that just shows why Carpe probably deserves MVP right now. And it looks so clean and easy, but he has the power to go off on his own and the confidence to take that fight on, I believe it was Bird Ring on the respawn. It's so crucial that Carpe doesn't lose that kill right there, because he's the reason why all those other kills go down really quick. If you lose your damage in those situations, the stall can survive. And we've all played those games where respawns come in and you pick a character that has a lot of health, like a Wrecking Ball or something, in 1,000 HP. If you don't have a damage pick that's alive, whittling them down to the TNT over the top to stop the AoE healing, it can be difficult to clean them up. But he gets in those positions like too deep on the enemy's side, and if they don't scout the flank, he hits the first shot and it's over. That's it. The whole team fight right there. I mean, also the rotation up top didn't help the Gladiators. They attempted to get to the outside health packs. They're running around the map trying to get to the health packs just to heal up to have enough sustain to get to the card again.
It's also because, I mean, I'm not going to single him out and saying he's playing really bad. 3 times actually, Shaz will want to watch this demo for sure. They will watch Shaz's positioning on both first and second. I think on second he was actually halted over the wall, and that's why he died so early. And someone in the chat there's a few questions. What's a Blongo? I should imagine it's Blade Bongo combo. So a Genji Blade.
I described that earlier when they use them at the same time.
Yeah. And someone saying Kevster getting focused really hard. Well, Kevster is being put in a bad position to try and trade back really fast because Shaz has died early in 2 fights, basically. That's why that's happened. Shaz dead again.
Yeah, and sometimes those damage angles, it might be, you might say it's Shaz's fault, but is it his fault, or is it the fact that the Philadelphia peel is so good? They went for the Mei there to halt multi-freeze the whole team, and they needed to find kills with that. But Philadelphia peel back so that freeze play doesn't really accomplish anything. It's not like they got a kill on that, right? Like, it didn't work. Because of that, Shaz just opened up with no protection, being able to just get focused by Carpe, and just Carpe isn't missing. So what do? You can't game plan for a DPS that doesn't miss.
Space can't die there.
Does get out, Flux, but Ivy's way ahead on ult charge now. I don't even know if he'll get the blade out, Kevster, here. He has it, but no, he doesn't. 10 minutes late. Funny, Astro somehow knocks Bird Ring off the map. That's one of those I wish I could see from that. When they say lamp, what do they mean? Apologies for the terminology, but Immortality Field for Baptiste is a slang term for it is lamp for a few reasons. The developers, when they made the asset internally before they sent it to live, used a model of a lamp, like a physical lamp, with the lamp shade and everything, and it physically set down. So knowing that, I have used that as a quick call out because immortality field is quite a lot of syllables to say when you're trying to say it, and you can just say
It's not
lamp right away.
shorthand, is it?
No, not at all.
Kind of stuff being played. And EQO
Lamp is Batiste's. It's not quite an ultimate, but it's on a long cooldown in the mid fight.
It's very good.
Very, very strong.
4 minutes. I think Philly are going 2-0 up.
And you get little
Maybe a bit harsh, but I think that's. I
mean,
I
4
really
minutes
want to
to
watch
get a
where
tick.
Shaz stands now.
When you're in your ranked games and you have 4 minutes to get a tick, it almost feels like an inevitability, right? It just feels like if you just throw your bodies on point badly, you'll eventually get enough ultimates to at least overwhelm them.
15% of his blades.
TNT and Genji Slash did all that. Getting dash
So,
resets
this-
all over the place.
Because this map's a little bit bigger, this is the type of map that I would love to take a look at the replay viewer, because despite the observers did a good job following the action so far, but there's been a lot of flanks, like often wacky positions on this bigger map that's been hard to see. So we're going to be able to go into a break after this, and maybe what we'll look at for this map is looking a little bit more in depth at where Carpe's been in some of these, or right, because like we're seeing Shaz die in the kill feed, but figuring out why that is a little bit more tricky. So Philly, loving their hallways, go to the bottom to make use of the AoE healing. This time Shaz is not in range for Carpe to
Yeah, I was gonna be. I can't see him. Where is he?
her coach has told him to play on the other map, maybe.
Yeah.
Much farther away this time. But Philly are happy with just getting ult here, basically,
Yeah.
because
They've got so much
they're
time.
confident that their ult game is just good enough. They get the lamp, that's go time, or the window rather. Yeah, maybe on this one we'll just go through the highlight reel of Shaz getting picked off, and I don't necessarily think it's his fault.
No, I don't either.
Not
I was
entirely,
saying
anyway.
Shaz will
It might be
watch this
partially,
demo.
but
Yeah.
Looking for the second one, but the presence of him might
Just
be
clean
enough.
up here.
Flash comes through onto OG. OG stalling. And the spawners are
So,
coming back for
Ed, I'll
Gladiators.
let you
Opportunity
decide
maybe
which
for them to come back
which
into
team
this
fight do you want to look
shut
back
down
at first?
immediately.
Should we
Only a couple
go to
blades
the first
remaining.
map,
It will not
or
be
Yeah.
do you want to stay on this one?
I
You're the man in
think-
control, so I'll
I
let you
think
lead.
we go back to the first map and see how Philly kited back into the corner after the EMP and then one back after
After the
that.
EMP. Sounds good. So a quick 2-0, chat. I mean, it's kind of what we expected. There is a chance for Gladiators coaching magic to come through here, and
While I line that up, I'm
make
going
some
to go to
adjustment.
Arcans. Okay?
Again, Shaz, the first
sounds good. But
I have to
you can just
adjust my
see
camera.
the disciplined gameplay in Overwatch usually wins long term. Even though there's some scrappy team fights that Gladiators were able to win. I mean, starting off on that map on attack, it looked like Gladiators was just going to roll, right? But eventually, being able to sustain your team comp properly when you get in the positions you like, ultimately they ended with a massive time bank. It's kind of interesting watching high-level gameplay. Oftentimes it does play like that, where the third stage is like the whole map, basically. Like that's where the map's won or lost, because if you can set up there, any deficit you were at, you can overcome. This happens on King's Row third a lot, Route 66. A lot of these maps, you go on to the end there, and I don't know if you can get a timestamp here, Ed, because the timestamps change because we're on live, so we might have to just find it in the feed. I'm currently doing that as we speak, but
Yeah, I'm finding it now. I'm just skipping through.
what patch are they playing on? I believe that it is either the one that buffed Genji or the one right after that. Maybe someone in chat or the Owl Sean can hook us up with knowing which patch number they're on. If anybody's paying attention for that, you can put the patch number in the chat for us to know exactly. Not too much change between those, other than Genji getting slightly weaker.
Okay,
But
I found it. So,
right, so
we're going to have to go by percentages.
67% or 55%, let's say, or 52, something like that. Let's start when they're setting it up. Let's do it ahead of time.
All right, I've gone to 52. We're on 52.
Or 52? Okay. I'll
Okay.
get up to 52, and maybe let's play it at what, half speed is good? Maybe.
Okay, yeah.
25 might be too slow.
Playback speed.
You'll have to mute it,
0.5.
otherwise it will distort the casting's voice.
Yeah,
but
no, I've
I'm ready
muted
to
it.
press play when you're ready.
I've muted it. Okay, let me change scenes. Okay. Play in 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. So, in half speed here, Birdring's getting up to the EMP, which is, as we've seen, kind of the win condition for this comp to snowball, is landing a great EMP. So, when you're in that kind of situation, as a team with control of the map, you have to know what resources the enemy is going to be able to hard destroy you with and dodge them so that you maintain control of your team comp. The map doesn't matter here at this point as the engage starts to come in. They know the Winston's diving in with nano boost. They know the EMP's coming. So they all peel back as far as possible, giving up the entire point, which is going to make these ults kind of whiff. Like, they do get a pick off here on Poco. They get the flux off the duplicate, but because they're in the back and Funny Astro is healing with Inspire AoE, he's about to get up to rally. I believe there's Lamp in that hallway as well. It's kind of hard to see. But despite all these ults that are... Was that Lamp right there? Yeah, it is. Okay.
Was, yeah.
Lamp was used to save Ivy in the corner.
Yeah.
I mean, think of how many ults the Gladiators just used. And it's more important to get those ults out and just stop the bleeding, basically. Lose as little as possible against that. Because if you ult afterwards, you're going to be way stronger, which is how they were able to swing that right here. Go ahead.
I was just going to say also, because they got anti-naded first, right? And they backed up into that tiny corridor. Because they're running Junkrat, you don't necessarily just want to follow that in if you're gladiators. Just without discipline. You don't just want to run in there because they'll have tire in about a second, right? So, I mean,
exactly. And then once they get rally advantage, then they can go aggressive. Now, you may have noticed they are targeting down Poco, which I think is the right call, because when you have the Zarya, Winston, Zarya's beam goes through Grasp, basically. And because of that, he can beam him down. And that's the whole team fight, I guess. Maybe you can replay it in the background while we discuss this again, maybe?
Yeah, okay.
I'll just go on for a little bit, but replay it wherever you think relevant. We've got the play-by-play enough. But Poco is definitely the target you want to exploit because he's slow and needs to play forward to get Grasp and damage and everything. And his defensive ability, Grasp, is weaker to basically everything you have, like Winston Tesla, the beam from Zarya, the beam from Kevster, the melees of Brig. So you have a lot of attacks that can beat him, whereas Fortify on Orisa is like guaranteed to get her, and also she usually plays back a little bit more. The secret is the cover usage, basically. And this is something that we always love to watch NYXL do, right? Like, this is a very NYXL type play where you know the enemy's got ults. They want to come at you aggressively. The best thing you can do is counter the ults with positioning and movement, right? You have to remember that you don't need to win the objective right now. You can afford to lose the objective, survive. It's almost like they had their positioning is the value of a extra support ult. It's them running into that corridor is like they landed beat perfectly.
Yeah,
with
I was going to say player. Or a trance. Do you know what I mean? Like right. Like
so with their movement and positioning, they're able to drain those ults out and minimize the aggressive effects of them. And with the way support ults work in Overwatch, the longer you keep alive against aggression and attacks and damage, your support ults go up and up and up. So this would be the case if it was Brig or any character, really, but Brig's especially great for this because Rally is so strong. But in previous metas, it's been, Lucia or whoever. You build those up, well, then they can re-engage with the Rally enough to mostly survive the Grav again, and then put down Lamp and Immortality Field, or Immortality Field and Window. So returning that, because it's almost like how these two comps want to fight, right? Like, one needs to use their mobility to jump in, and the other one's really good at setting up. And the reason why more times than not the setup comp is better is because, well, you have to hold the point, right? So it's like whoever gets 100%. You can give up some of it, but you want to eventually be able to stand on the point and hold it, and that's what they're able to do there. Maybe now let's fast forward to the other thing. On live, I'm trying to just check to see how much time we have.
Yeah.
I would say approximately. Nope. I think they are on the desk still, but I don't know how much longer it's going to be.
I've gone
I think
to
they have like another.
now.
They have another segment. I think I'm pretty sure.
Do you want to?
So
should we look at one more thing?
Yeah, maybe let's run through that map, and then I mean afterwards, there's if they 3-0 them, there'll only be one map to go. So we can have time after the stream as well, but we don't want to invade on the next match, so you guys can get into watching that. And to be honest, I want to watch it too because there's some sick matches headed up after this. So we will be ending the stream shortly after the match is over.
Okay, so we're going to the next map.
Yeah, get over to Numbani. And at this point, while we have a moment to mention it as well, just want to remind everybody that this stream has been sponsored by the Overwatch League, and we're so happy to have their involvement here to give us the opportunity to do a live breakdown of this. Obviously, it's still a work in progress of us learning how to do it well anyway. We're trying our best, so we thank you for being patient with us. But if you are enjoying it and you want to see us have the opportunity to do it again sometime soon, please click on the link in the description to head over to the Overwatch League YouTube page and hit subscribe. And that they are tracking the performance of that. And if a lot of you are interested in that, then they will be like, hey, come on and do it again. And that's definitely what we want. So if you want that too, help us out. Hit that link.
I think what we should watch is the first defense of Gladiators after their attack, because I want to know how Shaz died at the beginning. That's what I think we should look at. So
we should keep it in slow motion, I think, for this.
Yeah.
So that we can figure out what the heck happened. And then just tell me what time on the countdown you want to start it at.
Yeah.
Maybe 8 seconds or so, 10 seconds, something like that would be good.
Okay, so
subscribe, tell your friends. Sean says, yeah, tell your friends, get grandma involved, anybody. Hit subscribe.
7 seconds of their coming back or them attacking, and get ready.
All right, ready.
Okay, playback speed 0.5. Okay, 3, 2, 1, play.
All right, this might be a little too slow actually for the run up, but we'll have to. The beauty of the replay viewer chat is that for years, in order to figure out what was happening in pro matches to make videos about it, I'd have to look at frame by frame and try to figure out the wireframe of like, where was this flank, what ability was getting used, and it was a big mess, a lot harder to make. I used to joke to Eddie saying that we would make videos out of paper mache. That's how it felt anyway. But now that we have the replay viewer, it's a little bit easier. This time we're doing it live, of course, so we're gonna have to pay close attention. I'm pretty sure Sneaky Carpe is gonna go coast.
He does.
Look at this. He's sneaking off to the side. Ivy's putting pressure up top.
You can see Shaz through the wall. Like, he's going up the back of the stairs now. He jumps up top. I think this is where Carpe hits him. He's with Brig.
I think a Hulk comes in, right?
I think that's the next fight. No, I was right. A Hulk did come in, I'm pretty sure, there. He was backstairs. But he was kind of on his own. Brig had moved forward towards the tank line. He was just getting caught from coast, basically, I think.
A trick to do this is look at Carpe's... look at the health points, and as soon as Shaz loses some health, like who shot him, basically. Okay, like that's the detective work you can do to figure out. Because everybody's down low. I had to rewind because my stream froze, so I'm not in sync with you anymore. But
no, that's fine. We'll
I don't know if I can tell. I don't know if I know. I don't know. I thought I gave it to Carpe, but maybe it's is right just straight up Coco.
Right. I'm at 341 on their attack, and they're coming underneath, and Carpe's on the outside, and Shaz has already taken a bit of chip. Takes even more there. Both Sado and Poco are shooting at him, and Carpe...
Oh, he got a limb! He got a limb! I figured it out! They show Carpe's screen for a fraction of a second. Okay, I was right. Yeah, he hit Shaz for 45 of a limb, so that means he hit a body shot as well.
Okay.
Sorry, Ed.
No, it's fine. Shaz is up here. But if you look at where the rest of his team are, right? The rest of his team are I don't really know what they're looking at. Surely they can hear them coming underneath here. They're all facing the wrong way, apart from OGE. OGE's looking back at Shaz like, hello? And he's dead. Oh no, Mirror was with him, but just didn't do enough. Maybe. Or maybe it's Shaz's fault. All
right, so if you can try to at like 40, 340, I should say, like super slow motion, that I would say, at quarter speed. And it's a combination of the tanks and Carpe finding that backline with a halt.
340. At 0.25 speed, chat. Right. So they're expecting them to come main. I don't know why. Surely they can hear them. But Shaz is up over here and Carpe's over here. You can just make him out there. So I'm just going to play this super slow for you guys. Yeah.
It looks like we have about 3 minutes until the next map starts. So maybe a couple more examples of poor Shaz getting picked off in the backline.
Sorry, Shaz. We're doing the demo work for you. Right.
I kind of want to see their point C attack, Philly. And how Carpe popped off there. There's nothing to analyze, honestly. It's just him in an aggressive spot. But what I do want to say for DPS players out there trying to emulate that kind of play, a little bit of a rant. So let's see. Maybe like when the tanks are up top, kind of getting wrecked. That's their defense.
Okay, they're attacking now. Yeah, the second Shaz death, he does get halted over the wall. And then they slash, and that is brutal. Can I just show that very quickly? Because that's...
Go ahead. I can't see what you're saying, but the question would be, where is Space and where is Space's shield against that halt? Okay. That would be the question you'd have to ask. That's the only way you can protect it.
Go to 446.
On whose defense or attack?
Yeah, it's Philly's attack. Yeah.
Still? Okay.
Okay, 0.5. I'm just going to play this. I'm going to go back to main gameplay here. So they're playing on this wall at the back here. Are you on 446?
Streets phase, I'm guessing you mean?
Yeah, Streets phase. Watch this halt that pulls Shaz over the wall. So I'm just going to play this in half speed now. So as they're sort of like posturing for positioning, you see where Shaz is with Birdring here, and they halt him down, and as soon as they do, they just insta-murdered. It's insta-murdered. And Kevster tries to ult
so
back.
dirty.
Yeah.
Oh, I just saw it. Oh, Ed.
Yeah, it's so bad.
My God, somebody call the cops.
And someone in the chat was like, let's just go back so we see that again. Because it's not terrible for him to be there, but like if you watch the rest of his team, like Birdring is out. He's like, I'm out, son. And doesn't get halted, whereas he does. And someone in the chat was saying about Kevster getting focused. Well, Kevster has to do this here because they're down already. Like, he has to try and trade back, so he tries to clutch ult, but it's not going to happen. They use Rally as well.
So unfortunately, we don't have the benefit of the overhead view or to move the camera right now. But what if maybe just pause? Let's see. Right when like 442 would be a good place to pause. You can just see the difference in Philadelphia's understanding of engagement angles and how disciplined they are to not be outside in spots they shouldn't be. Because Shaz and Birdring here, this would be an okay crossfire, like once the tanks come out to cart. But the timing of when they're peeking when is out of sync here. There should be a shield in front if they want to come this way. Or they all stay inside. One of the two, right? Like that's how Philly would play it. They would all stay inside and then go out together. And that's a Overwatch IQ type thing that you can apply to your ranked games to like, don't peek outside the shield. Just remember that. Like, don't peek outside the shield ever. Play with my tank. Play with my tank. And the more you play in sync with your tank, which Philly's great at, these things don't happen to you because Space needed to be the one to be able to counter halt, but Shaz isn't playing with Space, so he's just going to get halted every time, and you can play it here. I would say
I put it at 0.25 speed. Yeah,
because they know if they launch a halt at the back line, they'll just confirm those kills. That's just how it works. So any opportunity you can it's a great thing about as well. I'm just remembering to the guide I've been working on for Orisa and Sigma. A lot of players in ranked, I feel, think these tanks should be passive and just poke. When in reality, if you see a halt or a spot you can shoot as Sigma that isn't a shield, go at it like a maniac. Just like beeline to punish that positioning because you have the ability to instantly burst them. So,
well, when you put it in normal playback speed, it looks like it's fast forwarded.
Yes, Overwatch is indeed a
you
fast
wanted to
game.
watch Carpe and his
You can play it in the background while we just there's nothing to say. He's just sick.
Okay. Did I even put it on normal speed? I did. Okay, it's not in fast forward. I'm going out of my mind. Right, so let's get up to where he does that. Sorry, chat. We're still learning how to do this. I hope you...
Yeah, the new map has started, so
Okay,
we can
let's
finish
go to
this up
live.
real quick, and then you can play it though to enjoy it. We don't have to be perfect with them, but
All right, okay. I just skipped
as
the
close
live.
as we can. Nice. Oh, okay, whatever. Carpe
Whatever.
popped off. You all saw it. We might be able to break down some more Shaz on because that was their map pick, right? Like they get to pick this map as well. Tell me what timestamp you're on, by the way, with Assemble Your Heroes. I'm on 15.
Okay, so give me 1
They've got a
second.
pretty decent position here, the Gladiators.
Yeah, Carpe is just kind of great. And as someone in the chat asked me, are the Gladiators backline just lacking? I think the discipline and shot calling of their positioning is getting exploited for sure. I mean, half of that is on Shaz, half of that is on his team. It's a combination thing, right? And really, whenever you're ready, Ed, I'm just
Yeah,
gonna keep
okay.
filling.
I'm on 0 and 15. Time ready. 3, 2, 1, play.
I'm in 2020 have
Great.
not been that great at running Orisa Sigma.
Right. So especially on payload maps like that, there's a lot more opportunities to be out of position. Whereas I feel King of the Hill maps typically can be more upset friendly because where you should regroup is just more obvious, right? Like you're out of the fight, you're in the fight. Like there isn't these regroup stages like can be in payload, hybrid, and assault.
That was a little jump shot straight out of
So-
presumably, and they're making
Show the replay.
wholesale
Show the
switches
replay.
on Carpe's
Kevster just
now. They wanna try
domed
and
Carpe.
match them head to head, but with the Zenyatta.
And he swapped.
I
So strange to me. Like,
I think I'm on the wrong sync with you. We're gonna have to resync.
Okay, no worries.
You were on Get Ready, and I was on the previous one, unfortunately.
Sorry, chat. Let's go. Okay,
Throughout the
Get Ready 5. So you have to go back too
Okay.
far. Or where are you?
No, that's fine. Stay there. I'll catch up with
Okay.
you.
I agree with
Get
that.
ready.
OG.
5, 3, 2, 1, play.
Always comfortable when he's playing that Winston, usually.
Okay.
At least.
Mirror coming in on the Zenyatta. Chat already sniffed that one out.
That
He is, of course, their DPS player that they like to put in on some wacky picks.
Alright, yeah, why not?
And as you had said, Kevster, we didn't quite see, but did a Widow rollout where you very quickly peek over the top to get a frag. I'm confused why they're not going in.
Yeah, he swapped
guess-
again, didn't he, after doing that?
I guess because he wanted to swap. Okay, so there is a window here for them to exploit, but if they're not fast enough, the regroup will be there.
before Carpe gets back in the fight.
Kevster over the top farming, trying not to die, just get some charge, and they're getting some positioning, but I don't think they got enough out of this. I mean, they made it through the choke, but I'm gonna look at the ult.
That's important.
Like, who's got more ult? It looks like Philly has more ult, and they were down a man.
Could be good.
They are going to get up to the high ground, but I feel that that was a shot calling error right there, that there wasn't enough to capitalize on that position. But trying some wonky rollouts here. Going to the back of the map. And there you go. Get the Discord on him from long range, but Ivy's been popping off here the whole time, by the way. His farm has just been incredible. He is ahead on Blade.
Great
Slightly.
lamp to save him there.
And here again, giving up some objective progress. They might not want to give the tick, but they definitely just don't want to die here. Objective progress is not important. You just want to make sure not to maintain control of the map. And if nothing else,
Chaz, what
guys,
is that? Sorry.
I don't know why he tried to use window there. Amplification matrix slang term is window, and he used it right there at the end of the fight. It is one of those swing back plays. I mean, Philly does that often, where they peel back, drop a lamp in a window immediately, and swing the fight back. But you need your team alive in order to do so. So not going to work out for them. Even finding one kill with it might have been good. So maybe he saw a kill in front of him. But yeah, the mistakes from Shaz now at this point, I do think
I was all up for giving him the benefit of the doubt, but he ulted when it was like just him. Looking for the biggest pop-off play of all time.
So instead they change their pathing here. They no longer want to attempt to get the high ground. They're just going to meet them on the platform. But got Flux, pulls out Lamp, no harm, no foul. More poke ensues. Kevster with the blade.
Yeah, they've got that blade.
And the Transcendent will counter the blade. Important. But what do you get out of this, Gladiators, is the question. Gotta capitalize. They do go aggressive with their abilities here. Carpe gets picked again, and Kevster's got a blade to clean this up. They're gonna get point A. I don't know, they popped the window though. They play around the window too well. I'm telling you. So that's just the Philadelphia clutch right there. I think Kevster could have popped the blade,
I was
but
gonna say,
without a nano boost. Well, he's afraid of the window. When the whole team is playing around the Batiste window, and you got shields in a bunker set up on a corner. I mean, you can go fight it if you want, but do you want to dive into Poco and get a rocked and just deleted by everything that they have to counter the blade? The blade doesn't have enough support in this comp. That's part of the problem. Like, they're able to counter the enemy's ult with the Transcendence, but he doesn't feel comfortable swinging that back.
They're just
and they get
about
nothing out of it again.
They're just about to have it. They should take this now.
Yeah, nothing in the tank for
Bob's
Philadelphia.
gonna knock him
But 20 seconds left. Another Flux is going to hold them there, and he picks off Mirror. I mean, they didn't even get a chance to use anything. Poco's Flux interrupts it. I mean, this series is over, dude. I'm sorry, but
yeah.
I just, holy moly, the control that Philadelphia have. It's incredible.
It really is.
And that shows you the benefit of going aggressive on the Sigma there. Absolute requirement for Poco to find an early opening. If they wait, and they had tons of ults. They had Bob, they had Bongo, they had Blade. If they let them set up there without interrupting it with the Flux, well, they just way more ults. They won that with one ult against like 3 or 4 just by engaging early.
I can't believe
and somehow,
that. I actually can't believe that.
And I think it was Mirror on the brig. We didn't quite get it. I don't think
Mirror
I saw where
died
he
first.
was.
Mirror died first.
He dies outside of the effect of the lamp, and it's just another example of the Gladiators. Again, Shaz got picked off a lot on the last map, but Mirror was out of position there where the lamp couldn't save him.
I was just about to say, having Trance as well as Lamp to save you from Blade is a really interesting change in, oh, we've got to get Lamp out, we've got to do... Like, that's a really interesting other option to a no button. But it didn't count for anything. There was a moment where Kevster could have bladed, maybe, and he hesitated. And they both hesitated because they were kind of split, and the tanks had window in front of them, and Poco used it really well. But like, it looked like Kevster hesitated, and I think that cost them. Aside from that play afterwards, where they used like 1 ult against 4 and 1.
You're 100% right, Ed, but I almost feel like it's just an inevitability that you're going to lose against Philly because their players are just better. So it's like, yeah, you should have dove in against all those guys and get shot and deleted. Like that's what you should have done, and you probably lost that way too, to be honest.
But
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like he should have tried it, but I think he just would have got deleted, basically. Like with the way they positioned. Philadelphia's positioning is just better, flat out, than Gladiators. So it's like the resources didn't matter the whole time because Philly's positioning was stronger. They didn't get caught out. And so even when they had resources to kill them, it didn't matter.
Chaz, I was wincing there. Brent said exactly the same thing.
You don't want to be out when Carpe's Widow's on the prowl, that's for sure. Bird ring on the sneaky Junkrat position. This is where I play in ranked, so I'm glad this is a viable position. It's very risky there, playing on a knife's edge. If he gets caught up by a halt, he just instantly dies there, but able to get away. But you see how that pressure Philly has put down? Yeah, well, nap over. Sorry. The positioning advantage here is just insane. I don't know which one of these fights we want to break down, Ed, but basically where Philadelphia stand is just better than where Gladiators stand time and time again on this map. So
Yeah.
There's more we could look at with Shaz getting. I feel bad about like pointing out the Gladiators' mistakes instead of the Philadelphia's plays, but it really is just that they don't make mistakes. And Overwatch is kind of like that sometimes. So for one last one for the boys and
All right,
girls.
I'm just gonna go to the cam quickly so I can line this up.
All right, sounds good. We're gonna do. Let's just look at that attack maybe,
Okay.
because they use a lot of similar resources.
Okay, let's mute the.
I guess it was different than it was a different matchup actually when they were on attack because they had the Widowmaker, but you can just see how Philly knows what they want to get out of the rotations they get. Whereas Gladiators, when they got the rotation they want, they couldn't capitalize because Philly's positioning was too good, and probably their just FPS mechanics were too strong as well, where they're able to peel back even losing members, and the members they still have alive can still hit shots. So you can't just run into them. It doesn't work that way. You know, this isn't like other metas in the past where man advantage matters so much. Like if the players you have left alive hit shots, you can still swing back fights.
What do you just want to watch the whole attack again, or do you want to watch the moment?
Yeah, maybe
where
we'll let's watch it and then I'll find a spot to pause. So
okay, I'm on get ready. 10 seconds.
10 seconds. We're gonna play it at normal speed.
Yeah.
Count me down.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, play. We're in normal speed.
Josh asked, "Will shaving my head make me better at tank?" Yes. Not really, obviously, but so an interesting swap up here. I mean, remember the Gladiators on their attack got a pick in the first 2 seconds and couldn't win. I almost want to look back at the whole their attack
you see,
as well.
that's what makes me think. Right, I'll come to my point in a moment, but like they get that pick and they don't really do anything with it, and there's this like hesitation, like what does this even mean? Does that pick mean anything? And Kevster doesn't ult when he could maybe clear up. And I totally understand he doesn't want to do it with the window, but it's a messy fight. Both teams are down. Like, there's always a chance that you could just kill the right thing at the right time, or, you know, and they just don't go for it.
I'm kind of confused why Philadelphia won the shield crack war so easily. My assumption would be that they were more conservative with their shields at the choke, but I couldn't really tell. Like, Gladiators lost all their shields, and Philly still had theirs, even though they have a junk. I guess it's because junk was flanking. That must be what it was. Birdring played for a flank pickoff, and
didn't get
because of that, and he didn't get one. All right, let's slow down again. Let's maybe pause it or yeah, super slow motion here at the choke. Let's get to I want to say 350. Play it at quarter speed from there. Tell me when to start.
350. Quarter speed coming up. Right, 350 quarter speed 0.25. Right, playing in 3, 2, 1, play.
Super slow motion here, chat.
Yeah,
the mistakes in Overwatch happen in this speed, right? Sometimes I make guides and stuff and people say in the comments, there's no way that player was calculating all those things in that fast of time. They definitely were. Like
yeah, they were.
The way you play this game is in instance. It's, you know.
See, Birdring's up with his tanks now, but then he gets into small health pack and does kind of nothing. And I want to...
Right.
Does he get halted off?
No, I'm pretty sure he's looking for a backstab, which isn't a bad call when you need to full hold for 4 minutes. But the problem is, okay, so they use both their shields here, right? At the choke. They halt up, get some poke. I feel like there's no reason that the defending team should feel the need to just like keep their shields out forever. So here, Space isn't regenerating his shield and Poco is. So that means the Fusion can use the cover to win the shield trade war, preserve their shields. And because the Gladiators aren't preserving theirs, there it cracks right there on screen. I hope that we're all synced up in that work.
Yeah.
And they're still poking it. Philly hasn't used their shields, not using their shields, not using their shields. In these moments, they place down a new one. And then as this flank from Birdring's about to come in, they're going to notice that where things go wrong. Or actually, no, it is exactly that. They realize they don't have the shields, notice that he's on Widow, and don't want to give him a sight line. Accidentally almost do by playing here. I mean, I would have rather they stayed up top and used the cover where OG's playing basically.
Yeah, why
to
didn't
hide
they
from
play there? Because they knew they weren't up, right? If they're up, they can't play there. But they're not.
Right.
OGE
So
goes one way and the rest of the team fall off. Look where OGE is now.
Yeah, I don't know if this is miscommunication. I don't know if this is maybe they didn't prepare for the Carpe Widow on this map or something, but I feel that they just can't give up the entire platform for free. And
look,
they wasted their shield management basically, and therefore they got it. So they were able to come back. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, look where Funny Astro and Ivy are, right? They're just like backstabbing the people that fell to stairs. But if they were playing where OGE was, they can't do that, really. Not to the same extent. Yeah, see, Bird Ring's up now. Sorry.
Yeah, they attempted to get Bird Ring on a flank for the halt in the background. I don't know if that's a set play. I don't know if they were trying to lure them into that rotation, because Gladiators does do things like that, right? It sounds wacky where it's like, you know, too elaborate perhaps of a game plan, but I wouldn't be surprised if they were attempting to set that up the whole time. That may have been why OG stayed there, but we saw how successful it was for Fusion to just not give up that platform the whole time, right? So I can't imagine a reason why you would want to do that. So anyway, once the Gladiators begin to have to fall back like this, Fusion know how to take ground, and I feel that when Gladiators were on their attack, they were too passive in doing it.
Look where Sano was there, decidedly not peeking, saving his shield round the corner of the bridge. And now they have it.
That small shield trade advantage over time really starts to stack up. And it's the difference between your front line being able to push in and the enemy's not. I mean, the Gladiators just didn't have a defense here at any point. You know what I mean?
They were
never
playing so split. Like,
oh, they're all falling now. Do you want to quickly play back their attack as well?
Sure. Right, let's go to cams. Okay.
Just to compare, like, how much, what they're giving up. I just think Gladiator's shot calling there is just the opposite of correct. Whereas Philly could lose players and still just hold the good ground and not give it up and confidently take the fights where you have to take them. And then tell me where you're at. I'm ready. 4.5 on get ready.
Okay, yeah, we're playing the whole thing. Okay. 4.5.
We'll just play it in normal speed.
Yeah.
Again, it's only 4 minutes, and then I think we'll wrap up the stream after that.
Sorry, chat. I'll be there momentarily. 4:45, you say? No, 4 on get ready.
5 left on get ready, basically.
Okay. Right. Playing in 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. Let's remember, chat, down a player in the first 2 seconds. They go for this rollout with Sim Teleporter to get the Widowmaker there instantly to catch out Carpe. He doesn't expect it, and he falls. This should mean that there's just a massive damage disadvantage with the TNT out of play and no shield pressure from the Widow. Genji's a strong character on this patch, but he's not as big of a range threat as Ashe is, even with how much he's been buffed.
One question. Why, when you're already out and you've got a kill with Widow, OG's on Wrecking Ball, does he go back and swap as well? Like, is that a miscommunication? Like, you shouldn't have picked him? Like, why is the tank pick changing after you get a kill?
So on the first go around, they decide they want to go up top, but really, why not just run at a thing that you can kill with a man advantage?
Right.
You know what I mean? Why not have a sense of urgency with this? Because by the time they get the positioning they want, Carpe is gonna, I mean, there's a TNT right there. So with the pick you got, all you got was this back hallway, which they are able to spawn trap Carpe again, but it's just their control of this main angle of attack. Like, they get the point with this. This is why I always say in ranked so much, it's so important to know. Getting the objective is not the objective. Like, you want to kill the enemy defense. That's what you should be setting up to do. Because strats like this, where you try to just go cap underneath the enemy, I mean, I guess in theory, if you kill Carpe twice, you should feel it's good, but you have to think about the positioning of the rest of your team. Like, yes, we get Carpe off, right? But if we allow the crossfire angles from Poco and Sato and all the support staff around them to be better, because our tanks are playing in a hole, essentially, and they're able to play from range, well, the positioning advantage is stronger than the man advantage. Ivy allowed to poke around, farming up Blade faster. So Gladiators does this sometimes where they like to get really cute with their pathing. I don't think I've seen an Owl team try that pathing yet. Like it's always you go to this side every time. So now they want to go standard, but the resources are even at this point. Are able to stabilize here. I think
the
maybe we might.
The trance comes out to stop the Blongo, right? Yeah, trance comes out.
Yep, that's all good from the Gladiators. That's their game plan working to a T. But I think it's the support backline carry, I think, here. Because Carpe is getting hard focused, right? You can call him MVP all you want. And maybe you're right. But this is why I say Funny Astro Alarm are the real MVP. Can you pause it at 114?
Sure. Give me 1 second.
Notice how, again, Kevster's got kills up top on the perimeter. He's able to kill the Bob. 114 left on the clock.
Yeah, 114 left on the clock. Are we playing this at slow speed now? 0.25?
Sure.
Okay. 3.
It might. Yeah, go.
3, 2, 1, go.
They're able to pivot around this corner, and Gladiators, even with these kills, aren't able to get an angle. They just refuse to let them. And they spend so much time on where they're standing now or the back corner of the point, when really the heart of this map is the strongest, right?
What is Shas and Mirror doing? Either them or the tank. Why are they so separate?
Right. If the tanks were up there with them, then they could finish this fight, because that's the power position. All right, we can go up. I was kind of curious that you can normal speed now, and maybe we'll sync again for the mirror death to the flux. You can just play it out here, but it seems to me anyway that this is just like they're kind of disrespecting the map design, or half the team doesn't really know. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
It reminded me when Shaz got pulled by the halt on Numbani, where the team's inside and he's outside, and he wants to get an angle, but the tanks want to go a different way. It's almost better to just be together in the wrong spot than it is to...
What do they say? Like, 6 people following a bad plan, but all together is better than, some people doing a good thing and other people just not doing anything. They're very disjointed, it looks like.
All right, so can we slow it down at like 22 seconds left on the clock?
Yes.
25 or 0.25 speed. Tell me when I hit play.
Okay. Right. Playback speed, 0.25. I just want you to notice how many ults they have. They're just about to get OGE's ult. They have Bob. They have Blade. They have Window. Right. Playing in 3, 2, 1, play.
Okay. Only the flux for the fusion here. Where is Mirror? He's in the corner, it seems.
Yes, he is.
So unfortunate. And he gets picked off before he is in the lamp. So I thought it was his positioning. It's just the ranged fire of these guys.
Yeah.
Philly's range DPS, whether it's Poco's damage or whoever's damage helped him on the pick. It's hard to know without the replay viewer, but yeah, honestly, nothing else to see there. There's nothing for me to break down. It's literally just they got an angle, they press Q first, and they have better ranged damage from their whole team. Like, we'd have to look in the replay viewer to know exactly who helped Poco finish off Mirror, a character that has like 200, 500 effective HP, right? Like, who's getting an angle on that shield? Is Poco bouncing the hyperspheres around the corner? I'm not exactly sure, but Philly Gliders just didn't press Q in time. Right?
Yeah.
Like, just throw ult at them at least, right?
Like, even if you're just gonna, like, you've got so many ults, just throw Bob, right?
Yeah, they should have
thrown
them. I think they wanted the ideal setup instead of the.
They wanted an alt combo wipe them. Yeah.
Right, and they just and then they never got the chance to do that. So,
well, that's
everybody. That's how the cookie crumbles, ladies and gentlemen. A quick 3-0 for the last sign off here. I did want to remind everybody this is a sponsored stream from the Overwatch League. We're very happy that they reached out to us in order to make this awesome event for you guys to break it down live And if you enjoyed this stream, you want to be sure to click the link in the description to go subscribe to the Overwatch League, where you can continue to watch the rest of the matches if you thought that this one was great. But they've got some awesome one lined up after this. There is going to be, I believe, Paris versus Valiant that got rescheduled. I'm not 100% sure, but that should be coming up. And tomorrow or Sunday will be the finals that start at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the semifinals start at 10 a.m. and the finals will be at 2 p.m. PST, all playing for a $275,000 prize pool, which is quite a hefty chunk of change. How did you like the co-stream? I know a lot of you have already said you did in the comments, but it will help to know your interests. What are things you liked that we did, things we could improve? Give us feedback in the stream chat right now. We'd appreciate it. And as you head out, don't forget to hit that link in the description. It really helps. I had a lot of fun, man. This was a great time. This was a blast. So thanks for joining me, Eddie. If you have any last closing comments for the chat, go ahead and let them know now.
Okay, big thank you to everyone in the chat saying that they're happy to see me again. I was really happy to be here, really happy to work with Frito again. I thought this was a lot of fun, and I hope we do it again. So thank you, everyone in the chat. I really appreciate it, and hope to see you again soon.
Correction, Mayhem Atlanta is next. I guess Paris might be later or something like that, but a lot of good action. Head over to the Overwatch League to watch it live, and hopefully we'll see you again for another week for a live breakdown. Catch you later.